Hello and welcome to That Man. That is me, Merchandise, and today we are going to be looking at, does a hot elf live next door to you? I've knocked on my neighbours and unfortunately one doesn't live next to me. So I'll just have to live through this book. But is it worth your time? Join me and find out.
That Man and his Manga.
Does a Hot Elf Live Next to You is another title released by 7 Seas under their Ghost Ship label. That means it's going to be a bit more ecchi than normal. And this is another one of those series where, in my opinion, it has a pretty darn good cover. And if you like ecchi, if you want an ecchi series, this cover is probably going to do it for you. And it's another one of those series where the cover delivers bit different to the actual series itself. Unfortunately, I'm not gonna lie, this series had me incredibly mixed. Now, what I expected from this series was basically ecchi, along with a bit of slice of life shenanigans. What I got was that, but it also couldn't really decide on what it wanted to actually be. Now, one of the things I'm kind of starting to feel with a lot of ecchi titles is that they start being ecchi, then they kind of decide after a chapter or two that they don't want to be ecchi and they want to tell a normal story, but then they're hooked into doing all of this ecchi stuff and they can't kind of leave it. Now, the plot of this one is quite simple. In the year 2020X, that's right, 2020X, that means it's any time from now until 2030. The world has been invaded by monsters and monster girls because, hey, they got hooked on isekai and they thought they'd come back to our world and just set up camp. Our protagonist is a young manga artist, probably a self-insert, who is just drawn trashy monster girl series where, you know, they're just walking along and then all of a sudden tentacles come out of nowhere and they're just like, ah, kya, kya, and what have you, you know, the usual trashy kind of series that most people assume with ecchi, not, you know, the actual good ecchi series where it's all sophisticated and serious and what have you. No, it's that trashy stuff. His neighbour then discovers him drawn that manga and she's just like, well, this wouldn't happen, oh, elves wouldn't get like that, elves would just fight off, elves are quite cool. And then it's discovered that she herself is an elf and she's a new exchange student for the school. And yeah, this is one where almost instantly you're kind of getting the same kind of worn out story. Oh yes, they're going to school, but there's a transfer student, but she's an elf. Oh, she's going to have all of these elf shenanigans, and boobies pop out. Yeah. So this series is one, if you just kind of want to turn your brain off, you don't really want to kind of have anything substantial, but you want to have a little bit of a fun time. Now, I'm not going to lie, there is some fun characters in here. I actually really enjoyed the other character, the Gyaru goddess that she's called in this series. She's another monster girl who turns out to be a succubus, and she was a lot of fun. In fact, I was more invested in her than the main girl. The artwork is the artwork's a bit yeah, it's not anything too amazing, nothing yet you kind of want to write home about. It's one of those series though that I enjoyed enough that I kind of am interested to read a little bit more, but I wasn't hooked to see that, oh well, I need to buy all of this physically, you know. I was just like, oh well, yeah, I'm going to buy this with YouTube money and give you guys some content. But yeah, does a hot elf live next door to you? It's not good, it's not bad, it's just kind of average, and that's just about everything about it. It's one of those ones where, like I mentioned earlier on in the video, they don't really know what they want to do with the series. They kind of wanted to go one way, then they start pushing it into another way, which is kind of opposite. So like I said, we have that ecchi series, that ecchi stupid series at the beginning, then it starts turning into a school series, then it starts turning into a making manga series. and it doesn't know what it wants to be. It might be a harem series because there's a monster girl of the week which the hot elf needs to fight. It's very wishy-washy about what it wants to be. If they just wanted to have a story and just go, look, this is a series about a guy and an elf wanting to make the best isekai ever, they're going to have the human side of things, the elf side of things, they're going to make a fantastic series that combines both. Sure, we're going to have some ecchi moments as they start falling in love with each other. That would be fine. But throwing in all of these, oh well, there's going to be this random monster girl of the week. Oh, the hot elf needs to get used to being in normal school without blowing up the school. It kind of takes away from it. It doesn't feel very focused at all. And there is a lot of good hidden in here. It's just bogged down by a lot of pointless stuff. And it's one that maybe it does get absolutely fantastic later on, but I'm not convinced by volume 1 that I need to be along for this ride. And that's a huge shame. Like I said, this front cover promises a lot. And you know what, the actual cover and some of the art does genuinely be rather good. But overall, it's kind of just there. It's one of those other series where you just kind of see them. Most people probably wouldn't bother picking it up. And like I said, I picked it up because, hey, I like to think I'm a bit of a Monster Girl connoisseur. And I've got to read all of these Monster Girl series at some point. Unfortunately. But yeah, it's kind of is what it is. You kind of have an idea. That sums it up. It looks like it's full of promise, but much like, is there a hot elf living next door to me? It doesn't deliver. And I feel like I'm being a little bit mean about it. My channel is, on the most part, something to try and be really positive. There is, like I said, a lot of good in this series. It's just bogged down by not knowing where it really wants to be. I'm interested to see where this goes, but I don't think, for me, it's going to be worth the investment. But that's just my opinion. If you guys have read any further in this, please let me know. Is it worth your time? Is it worth my time? Or is it just another one where it's just kind of like, it's a bit trashy, you might get a few laughs out of it, but it's not the high quality of Monster Musume, Monster Girl Doctor, or plus-sized elf in the Monster Girl genre. It's just kind of, yeah, it is what it is. Like I said, that's my opinion. If you did like this, consider leaving a like, consider subscribing, and click on one of the links around here to check out some more videos. I'll see you there. Goodbye.